Okay. So now we're moving on to our worst movies of 2022. So, so since I opened up the first go round, I'll go ahead and open up for the top 10 worst films. Number 10, I have Morbius, the Living Vampire. And the reason why I have Morbius, the Living Vampire, is because I'm a huge Morbius fan. When it comes down to it, I have a Morbius pop. Not only do I have a Morbius pop, but I'm also a fan of the comics and things like that. I thought Jared Leto was going to be a great choice for this. I was excited for this movie. And then I saw the runtime for this movie. And that's what made me scared about seeing Morbius, is because here's the thing. It was our first time seeing a Venom origin story within the Sony universe, so it was like a 2 hour long movie. You're giving a character that nobody knows anything about, and you're giving him an hour and 30 minutes or an hour and 40 whenever you should really be giving him a 2 hour film because nobody's ever even heard of him other than us who are the diehard comic book readers and also too who love Morbius. They need more cohesive stuff whenever you're telling an origin story. Then whenever you see the film, the problem was not Jared Leto. The problem was the direction that they chose to go in, the writing for it, and also to the runtime for this film was my main issues. And also too, you also have a part in it when he's floating up into the this little part in this thing where, and then they play like a little small snippet of Christopher Nolan's Batman theme from the Batman from the Dark Knight trilogy. Whenever he just gets lifts up into this little small thing, I'm like, really? They're gonna do that? And then you also have this other part in this film where, Doctor Morbius is working on the secret project, and then you're thinking that because he's operating with bats, that he's going to be on the other side of the hospital. No, they have a patient that can't walk within walking distance of his lab. I'm like, that does not make sense. And then they also have this other scene, which I thought that at the very beginning of the opening, I really didn't care about his friend. I didn't care about that because I thought that they needed more setup for us to care about it. And they don't do it. It does not deliver at all on all aspects of this film. Also, it's bloodless and it's a vampire movie. There's no blood. There's no gore. There's nothing about this movie. It reminds me of Vampire, the PS4 video game that I downloaded during the pandemic that was free. I enjoyed that game, but it didn't. And also, too, the CGI effects also reminds me of Vampire as well. But still, I did not enjoy this film the way I wanted to enjoy it. I had a really bad, horrible time with this. I went in with high expectations of this film, and I should have hit with lower expectations. But still, Morbius for me is my number 10.
Wow, I thought
Malcolm's
you
number
would
one.
have had that much higher. That was my number 4 worst of the year.
No. There was something that I went based on my level of angry, of how angry I was when viewing something. I actually have something more
Oh.
that on my list.
Yeah, this
This
movie,
is actually medium
I
level of
rented
angry.
this one, and I'm like, damn it, I wish I had my money back after renting this one. The openings, like the title sequence, purple. Where the heck is purple? Where's the purple in this? Seriously. No, like this was garbage. Like I liked the opening. I thought the opening was cool and that. But again, I just from the trailers, I knew this movie was gonna be bad. I just had this feeling that this movie was gonna be bad, and yet I still felt like watching it. And man, I wish I didn't. Tyrese Gibson, I'm sorry. You outside the Fast and Furious should just be a giant circle with an X through it.
Well,
Yeah.
not only
You're
that, but the
terrible.
cops. Well, here's the thing: they're horrible cops.
Mhm.
They're both horrible cops at what they do.
Yeah.
If there's like a '90s sitcom of Forever Night, these two detectives would be the horrible cops within that '90s universe.
Yeah. Anyway, there was so much that didn't work with this. Like Jared Leto. I mean, yeah, he wasn't the problem, but the CGI was absolutely horrendous. The ending was stupid. The post credit sequence was stupid. It was really cringeworthy. Was seeing the Matt Smith dance, and when he has the legs and he's doing that creepy dance, I'm like, okay, that is cringeworthy. Tobey Maguire, your dance in Spider-Man 3, you're awesome. That is awesome. That isn't cringeworthy because that was hilarious and that worked. Because Spider-Man 3 was a successful movie at the box office. This was not. I did not feel like Morbin time watching this stupid movie. Like, again, like there's was so much bad about this. And again, the vampire movie No Blood, that was kind of dumb. I guess there's so much about this movie that's just bad. This movie's just bad. So it's on my number 4. But yeah, it's just bad. Sums up bad. All right. My number 10 was actually John's number 1 favorite movie. My number 10 was Everything Everywhere All at Once. I wanted to like this movie. It just didn't work. I think for me it didn't. I felt a little weird for a minute, especially the hot dog hand sequence. I thought that was really like that. Like that one kind of like, well, I thought I was getting an international martial arts kind of movie, and there was some martial arts in it. I don't know, and I like Michelle Yeoh, but I think the big thing that I liked out of this was the actor that plays the husband, like that played the husband. He's awesome, and just to find out what other movies he's been in, to find out he was Short Round in the original Indiana Jones movie in the Temple of Doom, that was awesome. Like that was awesome to see, and then see the photo with him and Harrison Ford together. Was like, oh, that is such a cool moment to have him and Harrison Ford back together hugging, and then just to hear his backstory is like you're rooting for the actor in this one. Like you're rooting for him as an independent actor. He wasn't given any work, and this to see, and it's like I hope he wins. I didn't like this movie. It was disappointing because I was expecting more from it. But I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for Michelle Yeoh because you just want to root for them. And I think again, like I didn't like the movie, but I'm just rooting for them. There's the stuff that didn't work for me. Again, I thought the hot dog hands world thing that really threw me out. Like just took me out. Like I get it's a multiverse, but that was very cringeworthy for me. And that's why I was like, it didn't work for me, and that's fine. But I'm rooting for them, whoever was involved with this movie, to hopefully get more work down the line, because he's like, I have it at 10. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't work for me, and that's fine. Again, that's why I have it at 10. It's very low. It's not high because I have way worse movies than this, and we'll get into it. But again, for me, it didn't work. Because I couldn't find, and there was not much other stuff I hated. I didn't hate this movie. I'm not saying that. Like, don't quote me. I did not.
We're just disappointed, basically.
I'm just disappointed because I was expecting a little bit more from it. And again, I didn't know what to expect going into this. But again, the hot dog world thing kind of threw me a little bit for a loop, and I was like taken away from it a little bit.
Well, I understood the purpose of it, but I understand why that part wouldn't work because of the fact that it's maybe a little over the top for you. Mm-hmm. But for me, it worked. So I understand in a way. So number 9, I had Thor: Love and Thunder. I went into this movie because I loved Thor Ragnarok. And I forgot, Taika Waititi directed Thor Ragnarok. He did not write Thor Ragnarok. So that was the problem with this film. Had he just directed this film and not write the film, it would have been a better film. But no, you have the stupid sheeps and goats in this movie. And those were the most annoying things in the movie. If they had stuff, if Tamika or you sent me that stupid goat as a plush, as a gag gift, I'll be sending that right back to you. Because seriously, I did not like this movie. The best part was whenever they crashed into Christian Bale's planet, and then I'm like, oh good, they probably died. And then they were still alive. I'm like, well, crap. And then you also have the whole entire gag jokes of the orgy and Zeus, and made him a comical Saturday Night Live special when Zeus is supposed to be the god of thunder, and you're having him do all this stuff. And I was wanting him to be threatening. I wanted him to have his lightning bolt, which he does, and then he gets killed because of Thor. And then I thought that Christian Bale was going to kill Zeus because he's supposed to be the person that is supposed to be the god, the person who kills the gods, and he doesn't even kill a single god in this movie, other than one god in the very beginning, and that was it. And then you have this other part that was actually stupid as well, whenever Thor's going over there talking to the kids, and he has this vision, and the kids are like, "Oh no, be careful! Christian Bale's character is going to be coming." Like, where does he come? There's no threatening part here. He does not even. You would think that because of the fact that he's in there with the kids, that maybe he would actually come. No, he does not come at all. And Christian Bale was underutilized in this film. He could have been a whole lot more menacing. Then, when you get to the part where you actually have the whole entire dynamic between Thor and his love interest whenever she comes back with Natalie Portman and stuff like that, but the cancer part, by the time you get done with the jokes, the cancer part doesn't even work because you had to get through all the jokes to get to that part. And it does not work. I did not enjoy this movie like I wanted to. I was totally let down with it. Good. I'm happy that people enjoyed it, but I didn't. I was questioning to be honest with you, I was questioning about walking out of the theater because of the fact that I didn't want to see any more of this. And then I was also like, you know what? I'm already invested. I went and saw 30 minutes, but I might as well go on ahead and choke myself out and watch the rest of this. So that's what I did.
That's a little harsh, but whatever. Like choking yourself out of a movie, then I was like, that's a little over exaggerating on that one.
Well, maybe the sleep a halt. Maybe somebody should just put me in a sleep a halt, and maybe Adam Sandler should have put me in a sleep a halt and made me sleep through the whole entire movie, just like I did in Paranormal Activity. But anyways, what's yours?
All right, my number 9. Is a movie called Memory, which came out, I think it was starred Liam Neeson. It was a really cool premise, and I really liked it. Liam Neeson's an assassin, so again, it's typical Liam Neeson. Again, I'm a fan of his, whatever. And he's losing his memory, and I think it's a big focus point. Like he's not in it, like he's not the focal point of it. It's like the Guy Pearce. So they're trying to find. I think Liam Neeson's like trying to find out, like before losing his memory, who killed his brother or something along those lines, or something I forgot. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. It's on my list because the ending was a downer in a sense, that I'm like, I wasn't expecting it, and I was like, it is kind of ended in a sense. I mean, like there's some good action sequences of Liam Neeson looking like when he like as an assassin, he's badass. Like Liam Neeson's badass, but the whole losing the memory aspect to it kind of took you out of it, and it's just like it ended up being a downer for me a little bit. I mean, and the Guy Pearce was okay in it, and but some of the action sequences were really cool. But yeah, the ending being the downer is something the big thing I remember from it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why it's on my list.
I gotcha. So I didn't see that movie, so I hadn't add to it. So let's see. Malcolm says, I'm not sure, but good chunk of jokes in Dragon. Here's the thing with Ragnarok, though. When you look at jokes and look at humor, whenever you look at that, people use humor as a coping mechanism to actually help them cope with a loss or a death or something that they're coping with. So that part works with Ragnarok because Thor went through a lot in Ragnarok. In this one, it just does not land as heavy as I would like to, but still, I'm glad that people enjoyed Thor. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So now I'm going to go on ahead, and I actually have a horror movie on my list that I did not like. I'm not actually skipping ahead. I actually have a comic book movie. So number 8, I have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And I thought, and I'm going to agree with Malcolm, I thought that Everywhere All at Once actually handles the time travel and the multiverse better than this. The cameo with Professor Xavier, I did not fanboy like I wanted to. I wish that they would have actually kept that out of the trailer. I thought that we didn't earn that right with Wanda or anything like that at the very beginning, even though we did have WandaVision. I just didn't really feel like that we earned that right of the fact that she's this villain yet. I thought that would be a little bit more of a build-up towards that part. And then House of M. This was supposed to be like the House of M, and it just doesn't work. It just does not deliver for me, even with all the casualties that she winds up killing, the oversaturate. And get this, I know that there's supposed to be a lot of CGI and stuff like that. A little bit of the CGI kind of took me out of it, especially at the very beginning. It just kind of looked like kind of bulky in a sense, but that's just me on the way that I'm looking at it. But when you look at the characters that they introduced, which is also part of that what if storyline, which is something that I totally understood where they were getting that from. I just feel like those, and I understand that why those characters were there. They were only there for a short time, not to motivate the plot, but just to mention the fact, hey, look, these are the characters that we talked about, but they're not going to be here for long. They only belong in this one set universe and things like that. So I was fine with that. But as far as the storytelling, as far as the overall direction, as far as the fact that this is supposed to be a horror movie, I was expecting a lot more from it. I was actually hoping that Nightmare would have been in this. I thought that Sam Raimi would have been a good choice for this film. And then you wind up doing a Sam Raimi movie instead of a Doctor Strange movie. It was like a Sam Raimi movie featuring Doctor Strange, in my opinion, but still, I just didn't care for it. But anyways, let's move on. That's just my thoughts.
I mean, I love the addition, and again, the thing that made me like kind of geek out the most was hearing the iconic Charlize Theron voice. And seeing her, bringing her in the MCU, I think that was kind of cool. So I was like, oh, holy crap, they got Charlize Theron to join the MCU. I thought that was cool because I'm a huge fan of hers. I love her action, but the fact that they got her the MCU again, I thought that was cool. But that was just add on to it. Okay, my number 8, I had Death on the Nile. That's just the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express. This movie's boring as heck, highly predictable. Like you knew instantly who the killers were. And again, it was the build up to the killers. I'm like, there's no build up. I knew who it was. I knew Gal Gadot's character was gonna die. Like I knew a lot of people were like, oh yeah, because she was dead in the trailer. Like a lot of it was again. I mean, I liked Murder on the Orient Express. It was all right. This one was bland. I've seen this. If you want a better version of this, go watch Knives Out. Maybe you want a better time at seeing a movie, watch that. But if you're into this stuff, sure. I mean, there's not much else I can say. I was just boring and bland and predictable.
To be honest with you, this is my number 1.
Oh, wow.
I was bored out of my mind out of this movie. And I'm glad I didn't pay for it. I'm glad I watched this on HBO Max. I actually fell asleep watching this film because of how boring and how dried out it was. And you said it's predictable. I didn't even know what was going on in the movie. Maybe because I fell asleep. But this movie wasn't for me. And I like the fact that it was like an all-star cast. Things like that. It just doesn't land as hard as it did with Glass Onion or Knives Out. And those two movies were to be honest with you, if you're looking for two great detective films of whodunit, those are the ones that I'm going to end up turning people to, is the Knives Out stuff. This movie, it was boring. It was dry. There was nothing there. It was very wooden. It just didn't feel like it moved anywhere or did anything. I felt like I was actually bored out of my mind on this ride, on this journey, in this quest with them, to the point where I just didn't care.
I mean, I had COVID and I watched this movie and I was still bored. I mean, I'm not kidding. I had COVID when I watched this movie, and I knew instantly who it was. And again, I was just like, yeah, this is a way too long of a movie, but I'm like, yeah, this movie was bad.
Okay, so now I have a horror movie on my list, and that movie is Halloween Ends. I like the first Halloween movie because of the slow build-up and the different things that they've done. And yes, they did little nods to the nostalgia things with Halloween. I thought Blumhouse was a smart move for them. And then you got Halloween Kills, which sucked. And then you have Halloween Ends.
Hey, it's Corey.
Then you have Corey, where nobody cares about Corey. Corey wants to watch the world burn. And then he has a girlfriend. He goes, hey, do you want to watch the world burn? And I'm just going to name this character Topanga because I don't even remember what this girl's name is in the movie. I know it's Laurie's granddaughter, so I'm just going to call her Topanga because I don't really care about who this girl is. So he looks at Topanga, Corey does, and Halloween Ends, and says, hey, want to watch the world burn? Yes, I want to watch the world burn. I got the match. I'm like, what?
Boy, burns world.
hold on. It gets bad. It gets worse. Michael Myers is not even in this movie. He's hiding in a sewer, for crying out loud. Then Corey goes down to the sewer because he's sick of life, sick of everybody. And then he decides that he's going to try and be like Michael Myers. He winds up, poor Michael, he's just a senior citizen at this point. He's like 80 years old, and he's living down in the sewer and just living his life. Don't even care about killing people anymore. He's just down there just on retirement because his home's gone. So what does Corey do? He beats the crap out of the senior citizen Michael Myers and takes his mask. I'm like, wait, Michael would never let you take his mask. And then I'm like, are you trying to actually reboot this movie with Corey? That's what I thought. I thought they were trying to reboot this franchise with Corey as the next Michael Myers for this next generation. I'm like, please tell me they're not doing this. Please tell me they're not doing this. I remember ranting and everything, and my wife's just looking at me like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I am not okay. I am not okay right now. And she goes, okay. And then Corey winds up dying. And I'm happy that he died.
Oh, Michael Myers.
Well, Laurie kills him. And then what they do with Michael Myers at the end is totally against what Michael Myers is as the shape and everything, too, the way she kills him. But you have this build-up where you're supposed to be hoping that Michael and Laurie would actually face off. That doesn't happen until like later on in the movie. So when you have this action sequence between them, and then also too that horrifying part with the garbage disposal, stuff like that, that was like the only good thing about this film. I really didn't like it. I was hoping that I would actually buy the Blu-ray to redeem the shit show that I got from Halloween Kills, but nope. Here's shit on a platter, and here's shit on a platter again. So guess what? There you go. In a nutshell. So, what's your next one?
All right, my number 7, I had The Northman. This movie, to me, was boring as hell. It felt like I was watching The Revenant over again instead of that. Like, and unlike The Revenant, which had bear rape, which actually made it redeemable, this movie was boring. I don't know. I was watching it. I was like, okay, like I get it. They're trying to show stuff, and again, it's just like it was more of the visuals. So, like, it didn't do anything for me. And I didn't really like that. And I want to really play like enhance my experience to be a Viking, I'll go play Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I get a much better experience out of this one. This movie was just, it didn't work for me at all. And again, it didn't, and then a lot of people didn't work for them. That, yeah, they liked it, but like, yeah, no, it was just bad. It was boring. I didn't like the performances. Everybody was just bad. I mean, the only one that was kind of cool was the Anya Taylor-Joy. I liked her character. Hated Nicole Kidman. Ed Norton, like not Ed Norton, Ethan Hawke. He went out, like got killed early. This movie just didn't work for me. It felt like I was watching 2022's version of The Revenant, but with no bear rape. Like that was how I got the experience. I was like when I was watching it, I was like, man, I'm watching The Revenant again, and there's no like Leo performance, and that was this movie just didn't work for me. And yeah, if you liked it, sure, that's fine. It just didn't for me. But yeah, that's The Northman for me. The Revenant without bear rape, pretty much. And yeah, I mean, I don't condone bear rape, but I mean, that was the only reason I saw The Revenant, just to see Leo, to see how far the bear got. I mean, that was me at this point. I'm like, sure, is this going to win? Like, I don't even know if this was nominated for visuals. I don't know. I don't care. This movie just didn't work for me. Like Skarsgård, again, the only one I really liked was Anya Taylor-Joy. So that was The Northman for me. The next movie I'll get into for a little bit longer right now. My number 6, and then John can go into the 6th once in a bit. My number 6 was Jurassic Park Dominion. This movie was just a rehash of all the other ones. I was bored out of my mind watching this in the theaters. Like, oh, cool, everybody's back. I figured there'd be a better storyline that ties them all together. This one was kind of like, here they are. Here's the other group. Oh, here, we're all together. Yeah. Really? Could have done a so much better plot than that to get the two different groups together. Really? This is what you came up with? I don't care that this movie made $1 billion. It was like, it didn't work for me at all. I thought, like, again, the plot was very formulaic. It was the exact same one. Rich a-hole decides, oh yeah, I want control of all the dinosaurs. So I want to control them, like, again, not like the original creator, or like the original creator of in the original Jurassic Park. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have all these together. But some other guy, but the other rich person has a motive. Oh yeah, let's control these dinosaurs. Yeah, make them do our bidding. Oh, let's show our hands and just be evil dictators or whatever. I don't care. I don't know the name. Yeah, let's control this. Let's use this to harm people or just to get more money. Oh, okay. The bad guy gets it at the end. It was very formulaic. Like, I mean, I thought the only cool scene in this movie was the motorcycle chase sequence with the tractor, with the tractor pterosaur. I don't even know these dinosaurs' names. Like, I've seen them, but I just can't remember anyway. Like Triceratops. Like, seeing that big chase in London, I thought that was cool. That couldn't save the movie. Fat guy getting eaten by a huge dinosaur. Again, that made me laugh. That couldn't save this movie. Again, seeing the old cast and the new cast back together, yeah, that was cool, I guess. I don't know. It just seemed forced. I wasn't a huge fan of the Jurassic World series, to be honest. And I just saw this one just for the sake of seeing something, because I was just getting over COVID and I need to get out of the house. So I just saw, and that's what this is. I mean, I'll go more in depth in this in a little bit when John gets back, but yeah. So again, I don't recommend Jurassic World Dominion. I thought that was bland, formulaic, dumb. What was the point of it? Like, I get it. Like, you're trying to get the cast from the original all back together in this one, but how they all come together, I thought it was kind of dumb, cheesy, stuff like that, I guess. But yeah, that was my number 5. My number 4, yeah, no, that was my number 6. And we talked about my number 4 for a little bit. That was Morbius, but that was dumb, and I'll get into my number 5 in a bit. But just to go back on the Northman, yeah, that was, like I said, it was the Revenant. It was the Revenant, but Viking style. Didn't have any likable characters, except for the Anya Taylor-Joy. The fight scene at the end was kind of cool with the volcanic under like that. So that visual was pretty cool. This movie just didn't have enough Viking action in it, and I was kind of hoping for it. Because again, if you're Vikings, I figured some action sequences. I thought that would be pretty cool. There just wasn't, and yeah, it was brutal. A lot of stuff was brutal in that, but I don't know. Could have been done a lot better. Yeah, thought it could have been a lot better. So yeah, that was the Northman, and again, my number 6 was Jurassic World Dominion. Again, that was just bad, bland, formulaic, that kind of stuff. I'll go into my number 5, and I'll go back into it once John gets back. But my number 5 was The Batman. This movie was boring. Yeah, it didn't work for me. I watched this when I had COVID, and I still don't want to watch this again. I knew I wasn't going to be a fan of this one to begin with, but I watched it just for the sake of watching it. This movie felt like a 4-hour movie that just would not end. Like, every time I think, oh, thank God the movie's over, it wasn't. It just kept going and going and going and going. Like, I'm not a huge Robert Pattinson fan. I didn't like his Batman. Again, I'm not a fan of his. I thought Alfred was definitely wasted of a character. Why did they include him in this movie? Like, there was no point. He didn't do anything except blow up. Like, there's so much better ways they could have done it, gotten Alfred involved. I get it, this was him when Bruce was young, but still, just to blow him up for the sake of blowing him up, like, yeah, that was a great idea. That one, I did not like the casting for Catwoman at all. I thought there was so many better people they could have chosen for Catwoman. There was no chemistry at all between Bruce and Selena. Absolutely none. The pun, you have a lot of cats. That didn't work. That absolutely did not work at all. I thought a lot of the jokes were forced. I didn't like the Riddler was okay, but it's not my Riddler. I guess I don't know. It just the pacing was just really bad, really slow. It just there's just so much about this movie for me that absolutely did not work. The car chase sequence, which everybody's like, "Oh, it's the best one." No, I saw it all in the trailer. There was nothing to come out of this one, honestly. Sure, the world is dark, but they set up a sequel. I'm like, I don't want to see a sequel. Like, there was just nothing good to come out of this one for me. It just was boring, and like, if this is where DC's going, I don't like its future. Because if they're canceling everything else, like, and keeping this, I'm like, it's not getting my money. There was just so much stuff that just didn't work. It just, like, for the Batman, it just didn't work for me. Worked for you guys, that's great. But yeah, there was just a lot of it that just didn't work, honestly. Like, and I'll go more about it in depth once John gets back online. But yeah, that was my number. That was my number. Sorry, I forgot what my list. There's so much I had on here. Sorry, just a sec. Yeah, that was my number 5. And then we talked about Morbius a little bit, and that was just bad. That was just epically bad. So that was that. But anyway, back to Batman. Like, sure, like, Colin Farrell as the Penguin, but I don't know if I want to see more. Like, again, maybe I might want to see more. I don't know. It really depends on where we're going. I definitely want to see a new person for Selena Kyle. I definitely want to see somebody new. I was hoping for Ana de Armas. I thought she would have been a perfect Catwoman. I've seen a bunch of other movies with Zoe Kravitz, and she's just not good. Not a good actress. I don't care. It just didn't work. Like, she's just not good. And I thought her little arc, whatever, in the story just didn't work. And it's not Selena Kyle for me. My personal favorite was Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight Rises, but then again, that's my personal opinion on that. I thought it was just like some of the soundtrack was okay, but the pacing was just the big aspect that really kind of, like, I got angered with, because it just was too slow. Again, I've seen detective movies that are just as long but move pretty at a brisk pace. This one just didn't. This kept going on and on and on, like an Energizer bunny, the downer Energizer bunny that wants to keep bringing down and down and down and down. It absolutely just didn't work for me. That was the Batman. Again, I don't recommend it, but if you liked it, that's great. And then again, we talked about Morbius earlier on. Morbius was just bad. Don't recommend that one. I'll go into a little bit, or my number 3, and I'm pretty sure John has this on his list too, and this one deserves a rant, but I'm not going to rant. My number 3 was Don't Worry, Darling, and this movie was set up to fail from the get-go. When Olivia Wilde... Oh, okay, Allison, okay. So I'll tell that to John. Yeah, the daughter's name is Allison, or as he called it, Topanga. But yeah, Don't Worry, Darling was set up to fail from when they first announced it by Olivia Wilde. Her calling it a mixing of Inception and The Matrix. When you quote your movie as a mixture of The Matrix and Inception, your movie better be as good. And boy, was it not good. I want to see more. The movie I would see out of this, I want to see if they make a behind-the-scenes movie of the crap that happened behind the scenes with this. I would pay money to see that. I would pay money to see that. Because this hearing the dysfunctionality behind the scenes of making of this movie was way more entertaining than actually watching this movie. This is all this functionality between Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles. How Harry Styles is getting paid more money than the highlight of the movie, Florence Pugh, she deserves so much more money than what she got for this one. She was the highlight of this movie. She was good. She was the only good part. I liked her and I liked Chris Pine. But the whole Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde situation, the whole fact that Olivia Wilde got served because served by got served by her husband, like by her ex-husband, wow, and then how he had no idea that she was getting served while she was promoting the movie. I thought that was hysterical. That she was dating the main star of the movie, Harry Styles. It was just, there's so much behind the scenes drama with this movie. And I wanted to see that more than actually watching this. Because I was watching this movie, I was like, what am I watching? What am I watching? Like, again, I said Florence Pugh's the highlight. She is the highlight, and Chris Pine's the highlight. There's the only two people that were good in this movie. And I was I was aware of what I was watching, and then the rest of the movie happened, and then Harry Styles' performance was atrocious during this whole movie. Absolutely atrocious. He was getting paid more money than Florence Pugh, and he can't even cry properly. Seriously? That scene that was a spit take with him crying. I'm like, seriously? This is what you call crying in a movie? Come on. And then the whole the reveal of the story of what actually happened in it was just like, what? Like, okay. And then the ambiguous ending. Really? You really want to end it like this? Sure, you want to say this is like Inception, but the Inception ending was pretty much there's talked about like what is real, what isn't. You hear her wake up, and then you realize and then like, oh, okay, so she's okay, right? I don't know. I don't care. I'm pretty sure she's not okay. Just from the storyline, but no, the behind the scenes for this movie was had more hype than the actual movie, and the behind the scenes stuff is something I would pay to see, rather than sitting through this 2-hour flick called "Don't Worry, Darling." Oh, don't worry, you need to worry because this movie's bad, and I think you just hurt your credibility at all by quoting this movie as the next great Matrix and Inception, because those are two of my favorite movies of all time, and you're quoting that, you have that, and I'm like, this is just this dysfunctionality of Warner Brothers, that thinking they only had enough money to release 2 movies the rest of this year. This, though, Don't Worry, Darling, and Black Adam. They put all their eggs in this basket, and I don't think they paid off for both of them, to be honest. But no, Don't Worry, Darling. Like, sure, if you want to watch it, sure, watch it. But mainly watch it for Florence Pugh. She was fantastic in this movie. She deserves more moving forward. And Chris Pine's great in this. And everybody else is just there. Like, Nick Kroll was there, and I'm like, okay, I didn't know he was acting. I know he's just a comedian, but I didn't know he was able to act, because I couldn't tell a difference if he was just being a comedian or just acting. It's hard to tell. Gemma Chan, I didn't even know she was in it, because she's barely in it. And of course Olivia Wilde's in it, but like the twist though isn't really a twist, and yeah, that's pretty much Don't Worry, Darling. Again, we'll probably go more in depth in a little bit afterwards, and then so I'll just go ahead and move on forward. My number 2, I have The Man from Toronto. This was a movie on Netflix. This was terrible. This movie stars Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson. And essentially, Woody Harrelson's this top well-known assassin, interrogator, torturer, some along those lines. And he's really good at his job. So I'll just say an assassin or whatever. And Kevin Hart gets mixed up with gets mixed up by staying at his B&B, and everybody thinks he's the Man from Toronto. Yeah, Kevin Hart, an assassin. Oh, hi. Sorry. I was like, I couldn't stall so much from The Northman as much as I could.
No. It's cool. I'm sorry about the holdup, guys. I had to pick up my daughter from work, so I'm back.
Okay, so sorry. I'll recap. I had my number 7. Was The Northman. I called it The Revenant without bear rape. I'm sorry. The visuals just didn't work. I was
Okay.
bored out of my mind. 6, Jurassic Park Dominion, or Jurassic World
Okay.
Dominion. Recap, pretty much the same storyline. Lame excuse to get everybody together. Number 5, I had the Batman. I thought the pacing was off. It felt like I was watching a 4-hour movie. And then I just briefly went into Don't Worry, Darling was my number 3rd. And like, or 4 was Morbius, 3 was Don't Worry, Darling. I said I'd paid for the behind the scenes without having actually seen that movie, and then now I'm just going in my number 2. But I can go into that after you recap yours.
Okay, so this is actually gonna be honest with you, Charlie. My number 6 is the same as your number 6 for Jurassic Park Dominion.
Okay.
So that's actually pretty funny because normally our stuff doesn't match sometimes when it comes down to our numbers.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of issues with this. You have that subplot with the mosquitoes, and then you also have basically at the very beginning Fast and the Furious featuring dinosaurs at the very beginning with a heist job trying to steal a dinosaur. It was just felt like it was all over the place. It didn't know where it wanted to be at. You have these legendary characters mixed in with this new cast members and stuff like that. The chemistry just does not mix well to me at all, and I just didn't really care for the story that they were trying to tell. I do appreciate the fact that they actually gave us Malcolm again. I do appreciate the fact that, these legendary characters come back, but there's no main threat when it comes down to legendary characters or the new characters. There's no threat. You already know that they're going to make it out this thing alive. Chris Pratt is basically carrying the franchise and things like that, so there's no threat of anybody dying. It felt like a cartoon where everybody's just running around and everybody's surviving with Jurassic Park Dominion. So that's my number 6 for Jurassic Park Dominion.
Yeah, to go on that a little bit, I thought it was just a kind of a, like, God, that's just lazy writing. How, we're all here. Let's just all put them all together. Yeah, this is how they all meet. And then, again, I said fat guy on scooter getting eaten by dinosaur was the highlight of the movie for me. And it was that small 1 second. I was waiting for that movie the whole time. After it was gone, I'm like, oh, it's gone. But yeah, that was my. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was very formulaic. I've seen this movie before.
Okay, so if you're looking for a better version of Pinocchio, I recommend Guillermo del Toro's version of Pinocchio. And it had a better storytelling. It was very good pacing. We already talked about this for the top 10 best. But when you look at this movie, we have Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is a great actor. He's playing Geppetto, and it just looks like they put on a gray wig on him and say, be Geppetto now. And he's Geppetto. He doesn't do the Italian accents. He doesn't do anything like that. They also changed the wheel that is supposed to be a wheel. Instead, they wound up doing some ocean creature. Don't get me wrong, Guillermo del Toro does it. But it was more fitting for the story that he was trying to tell versus the story, which is a rehash of the Disney cartoon of what they were trying to go for. And they changed that up. I didn't like the musical numbers within this movie or anything like that. They even tried doing the origin story of Geppetto and why he created the puppet, which I thought Guillermo del Toro does a fantastic job of laying that groundwork and better than this. I really didn't care for Pinocchio. At the very beginning, I felt like, okay, well, you have the Pinocchio puppet. It actually feels like Pinocchio. It actually has that. But no, it just doesn't deliver whenever you look at that film. And then you also have, let's see here, that was my number 5. Number 4 is Don't Worry, Darling. Don't worry, darling, because I'm not going to see this freaking movie anymore because this movie is stupid. And don't get me wrong, I love 1950s. I love the fact that you're having this set piece and stuff like that. I also like Chris Pine. Chris Pine was the standout in this movie. Harry Styles, and I said this in my review, I think that the reason why he felt wooden was because of the fact that he's being controlled by Chris Pine. And he's basically just a puppet for Chris Pine and his character. And that might be a little far-fetched, but if that's where you're going with, that's what I would go with as to why he's wooden in this movie. He does not deliver in this movie at all. Chris Pine is actually the standout in this film. As a matter of fact, Shia LaBeouf quit this film. But I like the overall fact of the 1950s. I like the layout of that. I also like the fact that these guys are going over there to provide for their families, but you don't know what it's about. Then they're saying, oh, this is going to be changing things up. This is going to be our Matrix. this is not even close to Matrix level at all. And then you have a very bland ending on the way it ends. And I'm like, no, this is not what I liked about the.
Yeah.
And the cinematography is fantastic. Cinematography worked. Everything within this film worked in a sense, but it was not good. I did not like it.
No.
None of the characters were really likable in this movie. They're very snobby. Mm-hmm. Chris Pine plays this guy who thinks that he has the best interest for these people within this suburbia of the 1950s. And I just didn't really find this movie that interesting.
No, I had it at my number 3. I said I would pay money to see the behind the scenes movie of this, because that behind the scenes is what really that. But the other big selling point of this movie was Florence Pugh. She was fantastic in this movie. But no, it's like when you compare this movie to the Matrix and Inception, you better deliver. You did not deliver. That's why it was my number 3. It was bad, and the ending, like you said, was dumb. Like, oh, is she gonna get out? No. It's pretty obvious. There's no thinking about this. She's chained. She's got the thing that's sewed into her eye, and she's chained. There's no getting out of this one, plus the mob's coming after him. Like, she's screwed. It's pretty obvious. There's no ambiguous to this. It's like that. And again, her and Chris Pine were the highlights. And I said, Harry Styles, learn how to cry. Come on, like that scene where she's getting taken out of the car. Like, dude, seriously, I want to punch you in the freaking face. You're just a little bitch.
And also, too, this also has like a Twilight Zone kind of vibe to it with the red suits and stuff like that, which is something that I like, but still, it doesn't deliver. The aspects I liked outweigh the negatives.
Yeah.
And everything in this
film. It was my number 3, so that's why, I mean, I had it pretty high, but because it was bad.
Okay, my number 3 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the reason being is not because everybody's saying, oh, it's woke or anything like that. It's the overall story in itself and the stupid stuff that they do in this movie. You have a legendary character. Remember, Charlie, whenever I said about the legendary characters for Jurassic World Dominion?
Yeah.
You have a survivor who survived in the 1970s against Leatherface and everything, and then you kill her. You kill her. What? Okay, so you didn't learn anything from the 1970s, and you got killed? Whoever wrote this is a dumbass, because they did not understand who that legendary character is. And then she's shooting at Leatherface. I'm sorry, but shooting a shotgun at him is not going to work. He also picked you up with a chainsaw and picking her up and shaking her, and then the last thing she does is take a shot of her shotgun. What? It was dumb the way they handled the legendary character. They also, even though one of the main characters is something that I really liked about the main character or whatever, but it was the overall story and the direction that they chose to go in for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I didn't like. Same reasons why I didn't like Halloween Ends. So for that, I actually had to pick Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is Hocus Pocus 2. And don't get me wrong, Hocus Pocus 1 is not a masterpiece by any way or fashion or anything like that. But it did not feel like a Halloween movie at all. At least the first one was very atmospheric, where you actually could tell that these kids are actually enjoying themselves trick-or-treating and things like that. Nothing actually felt like it was a Halloween movie. It was only revolved around 4 people. There was no other kids around them. We have this house party going on. You have then the only standout was the Roombas. And then also, too, the Swifter and things like that Sarah Jessica Parker was on. Those were the only things that I laughed about. Other than that, it just was forced humor. Storytelling wasn't its best. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, but the first film wasn't the best movie. But you have the feel of the fact that this is Halloween. We have the fact that these kids are trick-or-treating. You have all that going in, and then you don't deliver on anything else. And then you even have the past history with the Sanderson sisters, too. And no wonder, and it took them over 30 years to make this film. And also, too, with the first film, it didn't really make much money at the box office, which is also why they didn't even put any thought into making a second film. So therefore, what did they do? Well, we know that this film is not going to be that great. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to put this on streaming on Disney Plus now, and that's what they did. And this movie was not for me. I'm thinking that this is like an age thing, where basically it's not this. Where I actually know as an adult, this movie franchise, if they actually call it a franchise and everything, this is no longer for me anymore. I have the first one, and that's great. I'll have the first one to remember it. But yeah, I just didn't really care for that. And of course, my number one is the death on the Nile, or the death of the boredom of the Nile. But yeah.
So anyway, my number two, going back, my number two is The Man from Toronto. Okay, let's stop putting Kevin Hart in stuff. Put Kevin Hart in comedies. That's strictly comedy. That stuff. Do not put him in an action movie.
I'm going to tell you, I didn't know if you know who was going to be originally in that movie.
Who? I forgot.
Jason Statham was actually going to be the person that was going to be in that movie. Then they replaced him with Woody Harrelson.
I think I love my boy Statham. That would have been way worse. That would have made this worse, because Kevin Hart is an idiot. Anyway, Kevin Hart is like mistaken for an assassin called the Man from Toronto. No. This movie was crap. Absolutely, I was bored out of my mind. And Woody Harrelson wanted to kill Kevin Hart. Anytime he was on, the two of them were on scene, I'm pretty sure Woody Harrelson was like, "Can I just shoot him? Seriously, can I just shoot him?" Because Kevin Hart is there. There was no chemistry at all in this whole movie. It was just bad. Like, the action sequences were poorly shot. All I remember was just getting pissed off watching this movie. I'm like, can this end? Can that just end? Like, seriously, if you put Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg in a comedy, that works. Called Me Time. That worked. Kevin Hart is an action hero. Does not work. All right, can you get this for your head, studios? Like, it was on Netflix. All right, are you writing this down? Stop putting Kevin Hart in action movies. It doesn't work. Just stop. Because it was like Woody Harrelson was the only highlight, I guess. There was no highlight of this movie. It was bad. Definitely avoid it. This is my number two. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. What is my number one worst movie of the year? Okay, it's a movie called Eraser Reborn. Okay, this is I think, oh, is this a theater? No, this was a direct-to-video. Oh, but it may not be from a major studio. No, this was Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers was the distributor for this movie. Okay, I bet they pictured this. All right, get this. We're going to make, everybody loves the original Eraser, right? With Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, let's just reboot the whole thing. But when we reboot it, we're gonna steal elements from the original movie and just put in this movie and call it new. That's exactly what this movie is. It's a complete rehash of the original 1996 actioner. Some girl sees something. Oh, some guy from Witsec. Oh, none of the characters have any names or anything regarding Eraser. Nothing. No Kruger. None of that. They just called it Eraser Reborn, but there's no aspects that had the original Eraser. Nothing. There's no name. Absolutely. They wrote to the studio, all right, get this. You want this? We're just going to do this whole thing again. Okay. We're going to have the girl. He ends up getting with her at the end. He likes her. Instead of protecting her, he blows himself up fakely just so he can kiss her at the end. Like, yeah, get that. We're going to have her wear the same outfit as Vanessa Williams did in the 1996 one towards the end of the movie where she's captured. Same outfit, same orange, same black pants, everything. All right. The iconic explosion where, oh, I'm gonna put my gun down. I'm gonna get shot in the arm. Oh my god, I gotta hold my arm while grabbing onto a container while it's going up in the conveyor belt, going up in a container going up while there's an explosion happening in the background. Okay, get that? It's gotta be the exact same shot of Arnold. Okay, so we're grabbing it. Okay, we're fighting on top of the conveyor belt. Oh, the girl, here, get to the side. Give me the crowbar. You've just been erased. Like pulling the conveyor belt down. His partner or his mentor. Oh yeah, he falls too, and he needs help getting up because there's something on top of him. He pulls it up. He tries to betray him. This movie is the exact same thing. Just set in a different location. Everything. This movie is shit. This was garbage. I rented this. I don't know why. Warner Brothers. Why the hell did you decide to go ahead and reboot this? Why? I want to go to travel to you and punch you in the face and give you, here, I want to punch you in the face for making such a stupid movie. Really? What makes you think we want to see a reboot or a remake of this movie? Okay, Hollywood, listen to this. Stop remaking movies so they can get to a better audience. No one wanted a sequel to this. No one wanted a reboot. If you want to do a sequel, that's fine. Bring Arnold or somebody back. At least have some originality. Like, seriously, you guys out of pot? Because they're legalizing pot now. You could be able to have some of that so you can get some more ideas. No one wanted a remake of this movie. The original was just fine. It was an iconic movie. There's no dual pistols like that or no classic Arnoldisms. This was a complete rehash, rip-off of the original 1996 original Eraser, which is the better movie. Like, this absolutely skip this. I would have been more shocked if this was like wouldn't have been shocked at all if this was just by an independent studio, kind of like those ones that always do the independent. But the fact that this was Warner Brothers, this is a Warner Brothers distributed movie with the same Warner Brother logo, same Warner Brother entrance into this movie. Why? What makes you think, oh, great idea, boss? Here, let me wipe your ass too. This is such a great idea. Like, no. Not a great idea at all. Like, why? Warner Brothers, are you just like dumb? Did you get concussed or something? Did you play NFL and have CTE or something to think that this was a good idea? Huh, no wonder why you ran out of money and could only afford 2 movies, because you created this piece of garbage. Why? Like, seriously, watch the original. Avoid this. It's on HBO Max right now. Avoid this movie. Just avoid it. Don't even don't waste your time watching it. Go watch the 1996 one of Arnold. You'll be much more satisfied. Oh, you're muted, John.
Okay. I'm sorry. I actually had some people popping up fireworks and everything, so I didn't want that in the background.
Oh, that's a lot more excitement than what you're going to get than watching Eraser Reborn or whatever the heck it's called, Eraser Origins. It has nothing to do. There's no origin story, different name, nothing to do with the original. Like, why?
But anyways, that's everything that you had to say about all the movies that you didn't like.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I went to I felt like Garth from the Wayne's World. I was like, oh, I'm having a great time. Not like about my head. No, anyway, like I said whatever I had to about the Batman. It just didn't work for me. But yeah, I think I've said everything about all the movies.
Okay. Well, you're not the first person to say that they didn't like the Batman or anything like that. And it is what it is. If it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't.
And I had COVID too while watching that, so that didn't help.
No. And I remember when you told me that, I was like, dude, you need to go back and rewatch this. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing that again.
But there are some scenes that I do feel like that were way too long. Like the graveyard scene was a little too long and drawn out a little bit. But other than that, though, I thought it was good. But anyways, I think that's everything that we had wanted to cover as for the best and worst movies list. I do appreciate everyone in the comments section, guys. I mean it. It's good to see that the chat is actually alive and it's doing well. Derpy had his top 10. So basically I'm just going to read off his. We're not going to dive into any of it, but it's pretty much everything that we have mentioned. So let's see. I have to go through every single.
I think he had number 5. I forgot. It was kind of like, I don't know if it was his in top of his favorites, top 5 favorites. I think I saw that Northman was one of them. I think it was Northman was 5. I know he.
Honorable mention for him was Guillermo del Toro's Top Gun Maverick. Number 2 was The Batman. 3 was Avatar: Way of Water. 4, Black Phone. Least favorite was The Northman, which was number 5. Yeah, then he had Morbius as the worst, Doctor Strange, Thor: Love and Thunder, Jurassic World Dominion. Those were his worst. Yeah, and Fantastic Beasts. And those were his 5 worst. Okay. Yep. So that's everything that we had wanted to cover. Thank you so much for commenting, liking this video. if you can think of any more stuff that you didn't or you like, comment below after the show. We do appreciate it. And always until next time, guys, have a great and safe night and have a happy new year. Because we are going to be talking about our most anticipated movies of 2023 coming up next week. So with that being said, that's going to be it. And have a great and safe new year.